Hey everyone, welcome to 59 Topps Friday presented by Wax Pack Wisdom, where we talk baseball history through the cards we love. My name is Jake T. O'Donnell. We built the iconic 1959 Topps baseball set, and in this series, we're going through every card to talk about the players, teams, and people who made up Major League Baseball in 1959. Today, we'll cover cards 417 through 423 in the set. Card number 417 belongs to Virgil Trucks of the New York Yankees. Trucks did not appear in MLB in 1959, as 1958 was the final season of his 17-year MLB career. Trucks was born in Alabama and signed with the Tigers before the 1938 season. After a couple of years in the minors, he arrived with Detroit for one game late in the 1941 season and was a rotation mainstay the next 2 years. Trucks missed the 1944 season and most of the 1945 season, serving in the U.S. Navy during World War II. He returned in time for the World Series, making 2 starts in the Tigers' series victory over the Cubs. Trucks spent years both starting and relieving for the Tigers, making the AL All-Star team and leading the league in shutouts in 1949. Trucks won 20 games while pitching for the Browns and White Sox in 1953 and made his second All-Star team in 1954 for the White Sox. He returned to Detroit in 1956, then rounded out his career with the A's and Yankees. He did not pitch in the Yankees' 1958 World Series victory. Trucks worked in and out of baseball for years following his playing career, including time as a minor league pitching scout and coach. Members of Trucks' family later became famous not for baseball, but music. His nephew Butch was the founding drummer for the Allman Brothers Band. Virgil's great-nephew Dwayne is the drummer for the band Widespread Panic, and another great-nephew Derek is an accomplished guitarist who is part of the final lineup of the Allman Brothers Band. Virgil Trucks died in 2013 at the age of 95. Card number 418 belongs to Gino Cimoli of the St. Louis Cardinals. 1959 was his 4th MLB season. Cimoli was raised in the North Beach section of San Francisco, and the Dodgers signed him in 1948. Cimoli spent years toiling in the Dodgers minor league system, both due to injury, some ineffectiveness, and the fact that the Dodgers were not exactly hurting for MLB talent in the 1950s. He finally made the club in 1956, but had just 4 hits in 73 games played, mostly as a defensive replacement. In the Dodgers' final year in Brooklyn, 1957, Cimoli finally broke through as an everyday player, batting .293 and making his only All-Star team. He moved with the Dodgers to LA in 1958, then was traded to the Cardinals for 1959, and then to the Pirates in 1960. Cimoli was mostly a reserve outfielder for the strong Pirates club that took home the NL pennant that year. Cimoli went 5 for 22 in the World Series, which the Bucks won in a thrilling 7-game contest. He would spend the final 5 years of his career with the Pirates, Braves, A's, Orioles, and Angels, leading the AL in triples with Kansas City in 1962. After his playing career, Cimoli returned to San Francisco, where he worked as a UPS delivery driver for more than 2 decades. He died in 2011 at the age of 81. Card number 419 is the Milwaukee Braves team checklist. The checklist on the back of the card covers cards 353 to 429 in the set. Anchored by Hall of Famers and stars, the Braves were the class of the National League in 1957 and 1958. Manager Fred Haney's squad won 95 games in 1957 and took a 7-game series against the Yankees to win the first World Series for the franchise since 1914. They repeated as NL pennant winners in 1958 with 92 wins, and again went to a 7th game of the World Series against the Yankees, but this time the Braves were defeated. They brought back much of the same team for 1959 and were in the thick of the pennant hunt all year. Warren Spahn and Lou Burdett tied for the National League lead with 21 victories each. Eddie Matthews paced the NL with 46 homers. Henry Aaron won the batting title at .355 and had one of his best seasons. And catcher Del Crandall and shortstop Johnny Logan joined Matthews and Aaron as All-Stars. The Braves finished the season tied with the Dodgers for the NL pennant, and the Dodgers swept the Braves in a best-of-3 playoff to determine the winner. Haney resigned after the season, and the Braves would only make the postseason twice between then and 1991. Card number 420 belongs to Rocky Colavito of the Cleveland Indians. 1959 was his 5th MLB season. Rocco Domenico Colavito was born in the Bronx and signed with the Indians while he was still in high school. He showed tremendous power and outstanding outfield defense while in the minors and debuted for Cleveland near the end of the 1955 season. Colavito became the regular right fielder for the Indians in 1956, hitting 21 homers and finishing second in AL Rookie of the Year voting. His play took a major leap forward in 1958 when he hit 41 homers, drove in 113 runs, led the AL with a .620 slugging percentage, and wound up with the third most MVP votes in the league. In 1959, Colavito established himself as a star in the game, winning the AL home run title with 42, making his first AL All-Star teams and earning another top 5 MVP finish. Colavito was beloved in Cleveland, but general manager Fred Lane sent shockwaves through the baseball world in April 1960 when he traded Colavito to the Tigers for leadoff hitter Harvey Keene. Cleveland fans were furious, but Tigers fans rejoiced, and Colavito averaged 35 homers a season in his 4 years in Detroit, also making 4 All-Star teams and earning another top 10 MVP finish in 1961. The Tigers traded him to the A's for 1964, where he hit 34 homers and was again an All-Star. Colavito made his return to Cleveland in 1965, where he led the AL in RBI that season and made his final 2 All-Star teams that year and the next. Through 1966, Colavito seemed destined for Cooperstown after his career, but his play dropped off significantly following a shoulder injury, and his final 2 MLB seasons were spent between the Indians, White Sox, Dodgers, and finally with his hometown Yankees. He retired after the 1968 season with 374 career home runs. Colavito returned to Cleveland, where he worked as a TV analyst and on the Indians coaching staff. He also coached for the Royals and helped his father-in-law run a mushroom farm near Reading, Pennsylvania. He died in December 2024 at the age of 91. Card number 421 belongs to Herm Wehmeyer of the Detroit Tigers. 1959 would have been Wehmeyer's 9th year in the big leagues, but 1958 was his last year. Wehmeyer spread his time in the big leagues between the Reds, Phillies, Cardinals, and Tigers. A Cincinnati local, he began his baseball career for his hometown and encountered the difficult part of playing for your hometown team when the fans turn on you. Reds general manager Gabe Paul said that, quote, "Never in my long baseball experience have I heard a man booed as bitterly as Wehmeyer. Nothing he could do was right. Even when he won, they booed him," close quote. Wehmeyer led the National League in walks 3 times, in wild pitches twice, and in hit batters once. In 1954, the Reds allowed the Phillies to buy out Wehmeyer's contract. Gabe Paul felt that Wehmeyer could do better with the Phillies. In his second appearance for the Phillies, Wehmeyer faced the Reds, giving up a walk, a single, a wild pitch, an intentional walk, and a bases-loaded walk in the first inning. Wehmeyer left the game without retiring a batter. In 1958, Wehmeyer made 3 appearances for the Cardinals before he was allowed to go to the Tigers on waivers. He would pitch only 7 games for Detroit, his sore elbow forcing an early retirement at the age of 32 before the following season. Wehmeyer ended his big league career with a 92 and 108 win-loss record, a 4.80 ERA, and 794 strikeouts. Following his baseball career, Wehmeyer worked as the district manager for a trucking company. He died in 1973 at the age of 46 from a heart attack while testifying at an embezzlement trial of a coworker. The coworker was federally charged when a shipment of trousers was stolen off a truck. Card number 422 belongs to Hobie Landreth of the San Francisco Giants. 1959 was Landreth's 10th year in the big leagues. Landreth spent his time in the majors between the Reds, Cubs, Cardinals, Giants, Mets, Orioles, and Senators. Landreth showed early promise as a catcher, playing in multiple amateur, regional, and school teams. In 1949, the Reds signed Landreth after playing 1 year at Michigan State University. He made his big league debut the following year after a series of injuries to other catchers on the Reds. He was considered small for the position, standing at 5'10", but made his presence known with his loud voice as one of the loudest catchers of his time. Landreth also liked to talk things over with who was pitching to him, sometimes visiting the mound 5 times in a single inning. During one inning in his career, he went up to the mound 10 times, something that is currently outlawed in today's game. Landreth remained a solid catcher, but got inconsistent playing time with the Reds. Although he never was picked for an all-star team, Landreth was assigned to the batting practice catcher role in the 1953 All-Star game. In June 1955, Landreth broke his collarbone, causing him to miss a lot of the season, possibly contributing to his trade to the Cubs at the end of that season. While playing for the Cubs, which would only last 1 year, Landreth played a career-high 111 games. He took a winter job working as an auto salesman during this time before being traded to the Cardinals. Landreth was the first pick of the New York Mets' 1961 expansion draft. He played for the Mets for 1 year and finished his career with the Orioles and Senators. Landreth ended his career with a .233 batting average, 34 home runs, and 203 RBI. Landreth coached 1 year for the Senators before moving on to other endeavors. Following his baseball career, Landreth worked in the auto industry as a public relations agent. He was the director of sales for 45 Volkswagen dealerships in Northern California before his retirement. Landreth died in 2023 at the age of 93. Card number 423 belongs to Bob Grimm of the Kansas City Athletics. 1959 was Grimm's 6th year in the big leagues. Grimm was a right-handed pitcher who spread his time in the majors between the Yankees, Athletics, Indians, Reds, Cardinals, and back with the Athletics again. Grimm, who was born in New York City, signed with the Yankees in 1948 before making his major league debut in 1954. His first year, he won 20 games, the first Yankee rookie to win 20 games since 1910, and he lost 6. With an ERA of 3.26, he was named the American League Rookie of the Year with 15 of 24 votes. Grimm was a member of the World Series champion Yankees in 1956. In all, Grimm pitched in 5 World Series games, but 1956 would remain his only season with a championship team. In 1957, he led the American League in saves at 19. This was awarded retroactively, as this was not a regularly calculated statistic at the time. In 1957, Grimm became a relief pitcher exclusively due to arm difficulties. He made the AL All-Star team that year, getting the last out in the game. In 1958, Grimm was traded to the Athletics, where he would play 2 seasons before being traded to the Indians in 1960, having his contract purchased later that year by the Reds and then again by the Cardinals that same year. In 1962, Grimm signed as a free agent with the Athletics, where he played part of that season. Following his baseball career, Grimm worked at his dad's bar in Brooklyn before he moved to Key West to pursue his love of fishing. Grimm settled in Kansas City, where he worked for a distributing company. He died in 1996 at the age of 66. He suffered a heart attack while throwing snowballs with neighborhood kids. That's going to do it for this edition of 59 Tops Friday on Wax Pack Wisdom. Today's episode was written by Abby O'Donnell and Jake T. O'Donnell. Do you have a story about one of the people, players, or teams we discussed today? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear it. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our Wax Pack Wisdom content. In the video description, you'll find our source material for this episode, links to where you can follow us on all social media channels, as well as a list of our favorite nonprofits and charities. Please consider a donation to one of them if you enjoyed this content. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Wax Pack Wisdom. Take care.